Hi, welcome back to Educator.com. Today we're going to have our first part of the math concept petting zoo. Legal disclaimer, test names are the registered trademarks of the respective owners. Said owners are not affiliated with Educator.com. The College Board was not involved in production of and does not endorse this course. Welcome to the zoo! If you want to do well on the math section of the SAT, you need to know a wide variety of math concepts. So the purpose of the math concept petting zoo is to show you a huge number of different concepts in a short period of time. There's a lot of concepts that we're going to cover in here, so the zoo is going to be in two parts. The first lesson, this first part of the zoo, will generally cover topics that are relating to interaction of numbers, equations, functions, things like that that are sort of more algebra-y. Then the second lesson will focus more on geometry, shapes, and a couple of miscellaneous topics. The topics in the zoo don't cover absolutely everything you're going to see on the SAT, but they will go over a huge portion of what is in the math section. Being comfortable with everything in the zoo is important if you want to achieve a high score in math. So you really want to get a good sense of what's in the zoo and be able to do well with all of it. How does the zoo work? Each concept is going to be presented by showing you a question based on that concept. After you get the chance to see the question on its own, we'll go over the answer and how to solve the problem. So I'll give you a few seconds. You can pause me. Recommend actually pausing me between seeing the question and seeing what the answer is, just so you can get the chance to think about the question for a little while and maybe even solve it on your own. However, the concepts in the zoo are not going to be deeply explained here. So I will answer it, and I will often explain some of the reasoning behind the answer and why it comes to be, but I'm not going to be deeply teaching these concepts. So there's going to be some learning here, some learning about the concepts, but mainly this is the chance to be exposed to a bunch of them, maybe get a little bit of a reminder, but if you have real difficulty with the concept, you're going to want to go out and study it more on your own. Also, I want you to note that the difficulty of the problems in the zoo, each of the problems in the zoo is going to be some difficulty, but that's not necessarily going to be the difficulty of any similar problem you'd see on the SAT. Now, that doesn't mean that all of these are easier or they're all harder, but questions on the SAT span a wide range of difficulty, really hard to really easy. So if you see something in the zoo and you understand in the zoo, that's great, but you still might want to practice it a bit more because you might see even harder ones on the SAT. But understanding in the zoo, that you need to have under your belt before you're even going to be able to get to a more advanced level with each of these concepts. What you need to do is you want to explore the zoo with a pencil and paper in front of you. So I want to make sure, pause me right now if you don't already have something in front of you. Go out, get a notebook, get some sort of pen or pencil that you can write with. Have paper in front of you, have something you can write with. Make sure you could solve each problem on your own before the answer is revealed. So if you don't know, if you look at a problem and you're not like, oh, that's obvious to me. Unless each problem is absolutely obvious to you, pause it before I give the answer and see if you can figure out what it would be on your own. Doing that will maybe go, oh yeah, no, I do remember this subject. It's going to be fine. You'll see the answer. You'll be like, yep, I understand it. And you can move on. Or you'll work on it, you go, oh, I don't really quite understand this. You'll see the answer, be like, oh yeah, I would have. I need to work on this a little bit. Or maybe you'll go, wow, I have no idea what to do here. And then you'll really know how hard that concept is for you. So pause the video when you see a question, try working it out on your own. Make sure you have some idea of how comfortable you are with each one of these. Whenever you find a concept you don't know well, something you aren't really comfortable with, write that concept down. This is really key. That's the point of coming to the zoo. Note how much help you need. Do you not understand the idea at all? Is it really confusing to you? Do you get it to some extent, but some of it doesn't quite make sense? Or do you just really need a really short refresher with just a couple of words on it, be like, oh yeah, I get it. Get a sense of how much help you need with each one of them and definitely write down what you will need help with. Now, take this list of things you have and go start studying those concepts. The concepts that you have written down, that's what you need to practice to do great on the Math SAT section. Begin with the ones that you find most difficult. The things that you have absolutely no idea what to do on, go learn those first, because the ones that you have some idea, you might be able to do some of the questions. But the ones you have no idea, you really need to understand. So go out, watch the corresponding SAT math-specific lessons. Go watch those subject-specific lessons on the ones that you don't understand, the concepts you don't fully understand. And if you still need more help, go out and browse the rest of Educator.com. There's a huge resource here of math lessons, and you'll be able to learn all sorts of things. If you still want more information, go search the web or talk to someone who's good at math. Maybe you've got a family friend, just a buddy, or a teacher who you feel comfortable going and talking to and asking like, hey, could you give me 10 minutes of help and explain to me how polynomials work, or explain to me a better idea of how square roots work. Something like that, But the important part is figure out the concepts you need help with and then go work on them. You really want to make sure you're comfortable with all the concepts in the zoo. All right, let's go visit some animals.